Welcome, welcome. This is Shelley Lidkey. This is Human Design and Gene Keys study group in the Chiron study group. And today we're going to be talking about the gates, the human design gates in the sign of Scorpio. So we've been doing a little series running through all of the signs and doing touch points on the gates and taking the opportunity to look at the energies in our own charts and see what the potentials are for how the activations show up in our own body graph. So anyway, okay, so I think we're going to dive straight in. Do you have any questions, Maris, before we start that I can address before we start talking? Not yet. Need to watch what gates we're talking about. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure before I started. Uh, let's see, where's the share screen thing? There we go. All right. Okay. That one down. Okay, we're going to stop. We're going to be taking a look at the gates in the sign of Scorpio, and I will bring up our mandala for us. Okay, so last week we talked about the gates in Libra, and we left off with gate 50 here. So we're going to pick up and quickly review the gate 50, but with the flavor of Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio. So Scorpio is all about being observant and watchful, taking care of oneself, one's space, one's environment, having what I like to call uh, sacred boundaries, personal sacred boundaries, and guarding those. It's kind of like a shepherd watching over their sheep. It's like just being careful and watchful. And like a shepherd will have a border collie, like that border collie is watching over the sheep. So much like that energy, there's guarding, there's watchfulness, there's nurturing going on and care being taken to take care of the land and the resources and oneself in that environment. So these gates all have this flavor. This the gate 50, which is the gate of values, the gate 28, which is the game player of life in the human design system. So we'll talk about that. Gate 40, the gate of patterns, noticing patterns in one's environment. And gate 1, the creative. Gate 43, the gate of insight and breakthrough. And gate 14, which is the gate of the harvest, bringing in the harvest. It's gate of prosperity. So we'll start here really briefly with the gate 50, and we won't spend too much time with it because we looked at that last week, and we can go back and review our recording from last week. But a quick reminder, the gate 50 is right here on the spleen center, and it's at the tip of the spleen gate where it points in. And the gate 50 is all about tribal, like taking care of the tribe, having values that support the tribe, and takes care of the nourishing and caretaking within the tribe, specifically the youth. And as the youth start growing up and moving into their young adult years. And Maris, I think last week I recall you said you have this entire channel of the 2750 channel. Am I remembering correctly? My husband has the 2750, And he will have young adults gravitate to him on the shop floor, and he will end up somehow talking to them about their future perspective, where they're heading, what values they have, like what what would be ideal for their career. Is being on the shop floor the place that they really want to be? And if it's not, then how can they get themselves going in the direction where they want to be? If they'd rather be a car mechanic, then being in a woodworking shop is not where they belong. And so he talks to them about those things. So, Maris, do you find that you have those kind of situations show up with your 2750 channel activation? Yes, it's a delightful energy. I love watching my husband have that experience in his life. It's very, very lovely. And both of our children are young adults, and they do have conversation like that together. Um, so the 50, again, just a quick review, you could take a few moments and jot down like values or principles that you find to be important in your life. Um, like important things that if you were never going to see this young individual again, or um, I think I shared about my grandpa before he passed away, before he went into open heart surgery. He spent time with us and shared his delightful poetry because he really loved the poetry. And we loved him quoting the poetry, but mostly it was the cadence of his voice, and his presentation was so delightful. So he took special time to do that with us, and he did not make it out of that surgery. So I'm grateful he took that time with us. But the 2750 is if if you were never going to see these children again, what would you tell them was the most valuable thing that you could say to focus on for them in their life? So maybe you find yourself doing that with your own children, like emphasizing that. So yeah. So because you have your spleen center defined, and the gate 50 and the 2750 are activated, um, then you'll have a consistent way of delivering those values in the world, either whether it's through your expressions, the way you live your life. You'll find that you'll consistently show up in a particular way that you feel is valuable, for principles to be living in your life. So there we go in a nutshell. Right. Yeah, very good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if anyone's watching this replay, do go back to last week's replay. I'm going to invite you to do that. Let me see what the date would have been so you can look in the group. It's the 29th of March, and we went more in depth regarding the Gate 50 and all the little themes in it. Um, so you can go back and get more details about the Gate 50 near the end of last week's discussion group. So, okay, so we're going to move forward here. And after the Gate 50, we have the Gate 28. Let's see if we can get this thing to hide itself. We have the Gate 28. So I'm going to turn to Gate 28. And let's see, I'm going to be using Shaitan's Book of Lines, and that are especially attuned for the human design system. And then we've been enjoying referring to Barry Trosper's I Ching Illustrated Primer. Quick reminder for the group, this book is no longer published. It was initially published in 1941, and I've searched online, and as far as I can tell, it's possible that Mr. Trosper has passed away somebody has gotten his name up on a website, but I don't think it's Mr. Trosper or his family. So it looks kind of goofy or, dare I say, suspicious. So anyway, um, if you look, the publisher is not publishing this book anymore, but there are stray copies that are put on Amazon every once in a while. So if anyone is wanting a copy, you can go and look there. So, okay. So gate 28. Gate 28 is um, the game player of life. And so there is a flavor of persistence about this gate. There's stick to itiveness. There's a flavor of, say, if we are going to go on a hike, and there's two versions of the hike in order to reach the destination, and one is easier, and there's one that has more scrambling and hiking involved. That's a little more challenging. And the gate 28 would take the more challenging hike just to have the experience of going that way. So the gate 28 loves to get dig in there, roll up their sleeves, and get going, and really experience the the hike or the journey of life, so to speak. I always think of the game board, the game of life. You know, there's several ways that you can choose when you spin the dial on the game board, and one way will give you a different experience than the other way. And so the gate 28 is much like this. One way is more risky, you know, when you roll, when you spin that little dial, and you can choose which way you want to go. And the other one is more the scenic driveway version, and you can move your car with your family along on the path in the game. So I always have this vision of the game board of life coming up to my mind when I start looking at the gate 28. So let me see the gene keys. I'm going to show up here. I'll scoochie up to the camera here. And Shaitan has given us the shadow frequencies here for the gene keys information, which for the gate 28 is purposelessness. And the repressed shadow is purposeless. And the, I don't know what it's called. Well, it's, oh goodness, I just lost the word. Here, just a sec. I'm going to go grab it. We'll get the ones that the words that Shaitan reactive. Let's see. Yeah, the reactive, repressed and reactive, but I don't think that's what Shaitan calls them in his book. But that's okay. Okay, so the reactive shadow is gambling, like risk taking, like what I just described in the game of life, and or not having a purpose, like feeling like you don't have a direction or which way to go. And the shadow, I was going to say overlighting shadow, but it's really not overlighting. The shadow frequency is purposelessness. So the thing to activate or focus on here, if to remain in the higher frequency, is to just jump into the game, like follow the game board at the highest engagement that you possibly can in the moment. And then we have the divine essence or the city frequency that Richard gives us is the essence of immortality. So by jumping into whatever the situation is, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable for you to engage with, to just grab it by its tail, so to speak, and jump in and engage. So we have, let's let's look on our mandala wheel. Seems that I'm coming at it a little bit different today for some reason, which is it's fascinating with the different energies we talk about, where how the presentation goes. So the gate 28 is right here on the lower part of the spleen center. And so it's connected with the 38. The 38 is the gate of the fighter. And the 28 is the 2838 channel is the channel of struggle. So if you have the full channel defined or activated, then you are designed to take on challenges, to take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and really jump in and go the whole distance. Like if there's a fighter in the boxing ring, he's there to go the distance, not to give up. He wants to get in there and have a good fight and have the experience of it. So that's similar to what the feel is for the 2838 channel, but notice that it's in the individual circuitry. So all of this on the inside here, all of this circuitry is regarding the individual. So it has to do with the person themselves. And so number one, standing up for their own rights, but also eventually standing up for the rights of the individual in out in the world when invited to do so. So you don't want to be shadowboxing or making a big deal out of things that don't really mean anything. That's what the energy is here for the gate 28 and in that channel. So you're saying your husband has the 28 and you have the 38. Oh, so in your relationship with each other, then your energy finishes or completes that channel when you're together. So, and then also the gates that are in white, you will have the experience of conditioning one another, and also admiring each other for the activations that you have. It's like two little gates clicking together, and maybe there's those little sparks that take place. So this is a place where you can really enjoy being together, or maybe have some friction if the lines don't harmonize. So hopefully the lines harmonize in your relationship, especially with the gate of the channel of struggle, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so since you have your gate 28 colored in your chart and your spleen center is defined, you'll have a consistent or fixed way of jumping into the game, of taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and experiencing your life. So, all right, and being persistent, like maybe you've noticed over time you have a particular way of persistently working with things and moving forward in whatever you're working with in your life. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show Shaitan's little graphic here. You can see he's got the channel colored in here, the 2838 channel, and it is the channel of struggle. And again, as I mentioned, it's the individual knowing circuit. And then the step astrology here is from step 2 to step 7 in the step astrology. So what does this mean? That means that it's all about the individual. It's about oneself and working with one's own energy field in your lifetime. And hopefully not struggling with oneself, but taking challenges, being persistent and moving through them and really taking joy in the journey. One image that's coming to my mind is when we're teaching our children how to tie a bow, right? We're teaching them how to tie their shoes. I know a lot of shoes have that Velcro strip. Um, I didn't like buying those kinds of shoes for my children when they were little because I wanted them to practice with tying their shoelaces on their own. And, there's some parents that hop in and tie their child's shoelaces for them. And that's not necessarily a good thing to do because that stops them from learning how to do these things on their own and struggling with the shoelaces themselves. But if we allow them to learn how to do it on their own, to demonstrate and then untie it and have them show you how to do it, this is a very good image of how the 28 can encourage a child to struggle on their own and see the progress and have that inner sense of accomplishment that can be gained by doing things on your own and struggling with it and then showing your accomplishment at the end. You get to keep your shoe on and move forward. And a young child would have like every time they look at their shoelaces, they know that they tied it themselves and they can have a sense of accomplishment for doing that. So um, let's go ahead and take a look at what Barry says in our primer. Uh, Thank you, Maris. I agree. It's a very nice energy. Well, when we struggle, that's where we grow. Like we are actually developing brain cells. I wouldn't want to take that away from my child. I would want to let them struggle, even though it is difficult to watch children or even adults struggle. It's good to let them struggle. So, you know, my husband and I, we have elderly parents in our environment right now, and watching them struggle with the stage of their life that they're in. Um, I've looked in different places online where people who work with elderly people on a regular basis, and you reach a point where you want to button up their shirt or tie their shoelaces for them or do their hair for them or whatever. But it's good to let them struggle with that until they ask, and not try to step in and do it for them because they will decline even more rapidly if we try to do it for them instead of letting them struggle. So, two examples, one at the more mature uh, age level in our development as an individual and at the early stage. And both of them are very similar and for similar reasons. We wouldn't want to cut off any learning experience for an individual. So in Barry Trosper's book on for Gate 28, the I Ching name that's given for Gate 28 is Ta Quo, and it's spelled T-A, and then the second word K-U-O, Ta Quo. And then it is joyous lake above and gentle penetrating wind below. And the quick little description he offers is great behavior or material excesses dominate. Expect unusual change. So this is a time of change, but things that maybe are unexpected that could change. And the image here, I'll show you in just a moment, is two men carrying a large set of luggage that looks like it's heavily loaded, and they've got branches that are supporting it and they're carrying it on their shoulders. So it's a struggle to move along with this load here. So the larger description here, it says Ta Quo is depicted as great material excess, a chest nearly breaking its ridge pole supports, being moved to where it can be of advantage. Ta Quo is a time of excesses requiring change, such as use or distribution, characterized by acting with excessively great and unusual behavior in producing success. So energy, like excessive energy, extra energy is needing to be used, and mindful awareness, like as you move along. The great and unusual behavior here serves to preserve or promote success. So care is being taken. For example, a king turns over reign of his kingdom to an able minister, where usually the regal heir would be his son. This hexagram also contains the warning that unused excesses may produce collapse. So shuffling resources around or moving them in a way, uh, moving them around so they can be used differently or stored differently or distributed differently can help alleviate, I guess, damage or decline is. Let me see what the sixth line says here. It says, uh, your bold advance in attempting to resolve hardships without the necessary strength has brought misfortune, but you will not be criticized for having tried. So, yes, so to avoid decline or disaster taking place, then moving resources around and using them in a different way that would bring greater benefit. So here is the image in the book. So you can see, let me see if I can get it at the right angle here. So the book looks, this camera thing is kind of a, there we go. I got it. Um, you can see that they're struggling with the load, but they're still moving it along. And my my coordination on this image is being funny this morning. Okay, so they're moving it along and they're taking care of the resources and the wealth that's in the chests or the luggage here. And it mentions chests, so it is storing wealth and moving it along down the road to a new location. So, all right. So, Maris, I'm wondering with the image that is, if with the activations in your household and your gate 28, if you connect with the description that's in Barry's book, like in any way. My daughter has this gate 28 activated, and as I recall, one of my sisters, um, and they do have a similar way with how they handle situations in their life, like the way they approach it. Yes, I can see how it works out by my husband. Okay. All right. Very beautiful. And you probably, because this channel is completed together as a couple, you're probably working together with the expression of that entire channel. So, alrighty. Okay, do you have any questions or anything about the gate 28 before we move to the next gate? Okay, all right, very good. Okay, let's see which gate is next on the mandala wheel. Gate 44. So, gate 44 is all about patterns and noticing patterns. It can be associated with the sense of smell or like instinct. So, not necessarily physical smell, but like in interactions with people, particularly in business, you can quote unquote smell a rat or have an instinct for when things are in a good position or not. um, so looking for those patterns, and it could actually be at the internal instinctual level. So not exactly intuitive, but instinctual, and being able to smell, if you will, when something is correct or not, or on or off, or good or not. Like if you actually want to be around a certain individual, if you're wanting to purchase a certain product, is it high quality enough? Is this refrigerator or um, clothing washer, is that going to work for us in our household? Because the 26 is looking for quality products to share with their community, and the 44 has an instinct, a natural instinct to know these things, if it's a quality product or not, and if the salesperson in front of them is is actually giving them a good quality product. So the 26 is looking to sell those good quality products, and the 44 can tell if it is a good quality product. So um, you are saying you have the 44 in the sixth line, on the defined spleen center, and your husband also has the 44 in an undefined center. Okay, so his spleen center is undefined and yours is defined. So you're 44. Maybe you've noticed that you have a instantaneous way of determining if something, quote unquote, smells right. Like if you're house hunting or whatever, you're looking for a new home. The moment you walk in, maybe you take a nice breath of the air in the area through your nose and notice how the house smells, right? Or when you visit someone's home, you have an instinct, an inner instinct to know if that's a place that you want to be by the way it smells. It's really fascinating when you start looking at things. When you open your fridge at home, you can smell if there's a science project developing in the fridge, or if everything smells fresh and clean in the refrigerator. So that's probably a good example. All right. And maybe there's a particular way that you've been using that in your life, and you've noticed that that's the way it is. Okay. All right. Or, the laundry, or if you go in your son's bedroom and you can smell stinky socks and he needs to get his laundry gathered up and put in the laundry room, right? To get washed. And you're a mom that can smell that. So that's kind of funny. I've never described it that way before, so it must be. Um, I'm connecting with your energy field this morning. You just feel when things smell when things are off, or opening the milk carton and you can smell if, oh my goodness, this milk needs to be poured out. I need to get a fresh container. So, yeah. Okay, so let's look at this. Um, the gate of patterns. And the other little label that can be attached to this is meeting together, like Shaitan describes it, of likes and opposites coming together. Like it's either this or that, or you can tell when things match through that instinctual sensing. Okay. Or following your nose. Okay, so the other image that's coming is, when we watch dogs running through the park or out in the yard or whatever, what are they doing? They're following their nose. They're going around, they're sniffing everything. So the gate 44 can be much like that as well. And the uh, since the heart center can be connected through the 2644 channel, it's like you're looking for what you want, and you're using your sense, or your instinct, your sense of smell, to determine where that is. So dogs run around, they look for little treasures in the yard that they like, and they use that sense of smell to find what they're looking for. They're generally is food, right? They're looking for little tasty treats that might be out laying around that they uh, can chew on or nibble, chew on a stick or whatever. So yeah. Okay. So the 2644 in Shaitan's book. So he's got the channel here showing on the graph, and then it's the channel of enterprise. It has to do with business and presenting quality products to one's tribe. It is in the tribal circuitry. So it has to do with supporting the tribe with high quality products. And then it starts out with step 7 as an individual in the first decan. And so up until um, step or line 3, then it's all about oneself. And then it moves into the second decan. So the energy of what's going on in one's environment up to step 13. So taking action on what's in your environment, or moving towards quality products, on up to I believe that this is a high quality product, but unexpected things could happen. You could buy the fridge and it might not be quite right. It might need to go back to the store or need some repairs. Hopefully not. But if you're listening to your strategy and authority, you would purchase the correct fridge in the first place for yourself. Okay. And let's see, gate 44. Yeah. Tricky business, this life, paying attention, listening to our strategy and authority. Thank goodness we have human design now. It can guide us in our correct path so we can minimize struggle and challenge, right? Okay, so the 44 in Barry Trosper's book, I'm not sure how to say this. It's spelled Kou is the name. So I'm just going to say Co for now, because I don't know exactly how to pronounce that with the O and the U there. So I'm going to say Co, and it is heaven above and wind below. So there's an upward looking perspective to this hexagram. And the short description here says, advantages found by avoiding strong and inferior temptation. So not giving into lower quality, like being tempted to buy something of lower quality. And a lot of these things come back to internal character as well. So you can apply these things to character. And let's hear what Barry says. He says, Co is depicted as the tempting courtesan, attracting the traveler as he passes by while the adversity remains hidden. So the image that's being given is this gal is trying to entice a man towards her. So there's a little bit of temptress going on here, it sounds like. That's interesting. So let's continue with the description. It says, Co is a time of avoiding adversity, which would be associated with strong and inferior temptations, and is characterized by advantage when restraint is applied in avoiding these temptations. Sexual contact and meeting is implied, but so is the anguish resulting from a fickle lover. The meeting and temptation occur, but the association should be concluded without involvement, since the adversity which could follow is carefully concealed. So there's adversity that is hiding inside of this temptation. That is a very interesting direction that went, because that's not the ultimate description that is offered in the human design system. So I'm going to show the image, and this gate, the gate 44, is not on the sacral center; it's on the spleen center. So that's very interesting. I'm going to have to contemplate on this. I like how the presentation of some of these storylines come across in the I Ching versus how they're presented in the human design system. I do have a copy of the Rave I Ching. Let me see if I can. I've been looking at some of these. Let me see. I'm just gonna see if I can pull this up and find Ra's comment on it. Um, Scroll down to the gate 44. Okay, he says this is the gate of alertness. Okay, so let me, it says this is the gate of alertness. So it's a in harmonic with the gate 26, like we just talked about, and it's called coming to meet. And it feels like I'm going to read his little paragraph here. It says the gate of alertness, capitalistic design that is entrepreneurial, instinct and memory to transmit one's ego to the tribe, instinctive memory in the now, cued by patterns in experience, sharp instinctive memory, offering individual loyalty and access to memory resources to exchange for ego's strength. Okay, I think this might be where that um, resisting a temptation comes in, like being loyal to oneself instead of giving into that sexual temptation that is in Barry Trosper's primer here. It says gate of the fear of the past. So fearing things that happened in the past. It's connected to the splenic center and the ego circuit. So the keynotes here is line one, conditions, establishing frameworks, management. It's kind of hard to read this document here. Interference, honesty and manipulation, and aloofness. So you can hear where it just kind of falls apart at the upper lines in there, like there's degradation there. So resisting the degradation and remaining loyal to higher quality behavior, basically. Yeah, it's very interesting. All the little nuances. So remaining loyal to oneself and not giving in to sexual temptation or that wanting from the heart center, like, oh, I want it, I have to have it, and not giving into that, but focusing on getting quality and remaining in a quality as a high quality individual from the sage within. Yeah, it's very fascinating. Okay, let me see. Your comments up here. I have bought a bike. I buy a bike to sit for. Oh, okay. You bought a bike for your little one, and searched for it and didn't wait to respond. I can't open the seat belts. Oh, so it has some puzzle pieces that fell. All right. So what I'm hearing from you is that you didn't you didn't take the proper time to buy the little bike for your son, and there's some things that are going wrong on the bike. Um, is that what I'm hearing, Maris? Okay. All right. Yeah. Yep. So paying attention to our instinct, take plenty of time, especially if you have a defined emotion center. You want to follow your strategy and authority. And sometimes, when we make decisions through our strategy and authority, it seems like it doesn't go very well. I'm gonna have to be honest with that. I have done some things, followed my strategy and authority to the best of my ability, and things still didn't turn out so well. If that happens, still trust what happened and that it use it as a learning experience. Like, where did the learning experience come from in the situation? So, even though you made every effort to follow your strategy and authority, and things apparently, and I'm going to use the word apparently because it appears that things didn't go very well or things were uncomfortable afterwards in some way. Still trust the decision that you made through your strategy and authority because sometimes it appears that things go wrong, but then later down the road, there was some advantage to the thing having a challenge with it. Either it caused you to meet a certain individual that brought well being or a learning experience or supported another individual in their life, or moved you in an even better track than you would have if you had not taken that track. So, welcome, Raquel. We are focusing on the gates in the sign of Scorpio, and we've just finished up visiting about the gate 44. So there we go. Alrighty. Um, and Raquel, remind me, I think you said that you have been studying human design a little bit. If is that, am I remembering correctly?
Sorry.
If I'm wondering if you have been looking
Mhm.
at human design system already or if you're new to human design.
1 year in the studies.
Okay. All right. So you're not new to the terms, but you're
No,
newish in your studying of the material.
yes.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure I don't want to say stuff that like, you would go, oh my gosh, I don't know what she's talking about. So, um, anyway.
No, there's no problem
Okay. All
with
right.
me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we were just visiting about Maris had made a comment about the 44. She has it defined. And if you want to share in the comments, Raquel, if you have the gate 44 colored in your design, we're not necessarily paying attention to whether it's in pink or black, whether it's conscious or unconscious, but if it's colored in your chart and if the spleen center is colored in your chart or not. Oh, okay. So the 44 is your sun. Is it your conscious sun? Is that personality? Okay. So since it's your conscious sun gate activation, then the gate 44, the gate of patterns or meeting together, will carry up to 70% of your overall energy in your life. And it will be um, it will have a dependable way that you can rely on the energy of it. It has to do with instinct. We've just gone over that. Have you looked at the energy of your 44? Um, like done some studying on that or in the human design materials or in Gene Keys or anything? It can be related to the sense of smell. Like you'll be able to smell if something is off or doesn't smell right, like anything like picking up a book or listening to a salesperson or looking at a product or anything, you'll have an inner instinct um, as to whether or not that's a good product for you. Your spleen is colored in. Okay, so you'll have a dependable way of choosing quality products for your household or yourself. It can be hair products, it could be clothing, it can be a refrigerator, a home, whatever it is that you're looking to buy, you will, or that's being presented to you, like for example, in an advertisement, you'll be able to know instinctively whether or not that is being presented on the up and up, so to speak. So, okay. All right. Just off the top of your head, Raquel, do you have any questions about your 844 that maybe we can address right now while we're talking about the 44? You came in just right at the moment where we just finished with the description of it, but if you have any questions or you've been wondering about anything regarding the gate 44, I'm happy to res respond to that. So, okay. All right. You don't remember. Okay. All righty. Then in the replay, so it's going to be about halfway through, you know, 50, let's see, about 45 minutes into the call. You can watch on the replay when I get the replay up and go back in and listen. Maris and I went over it pretty well, and re-listen to our discussion regarding the 44. So you can get that. So about 45 minutes into the replay when I get it posted in the group, okay? All right. Let's see which gate is next. Is the gate one, the gate of the creative or the creative self-expression. So this is literally a gate that it implies is it has to do with creativity and allowing the creativity of the divine or God's source, however you like interject your term there. Um, to allow that creative energy to flow through you and out into the world and watch that take place. So since we're in Scorpio, we're watching that take place in our lives. And it is in the individual circuitry. So it and the knowing, like this is the individual knowing circuitry. So it's the energy of knowingness, like it's not thinking about what you want to create per se, but it's much like if we pick up a pen or a pencil and we are doodling on the page and whatever comes out, comes out. For example, this little mandala behind her, this is when I created that mandala, it was freehand and it's literally just um, created from like, I don't know, the initial image is maybe like an inch tall. And I scanned it into the computer and made it bigger and then traced over it and refined it. So it made it the way that it is. And so that I could actually use it in my business. If I can get this to move down, it doesn't seem like it's wanting to do that. But in my logo here, like in my, that's what this image is. It's a little bit pixely here, but you can see the whole image. And this is an example of the gate one. I was using my creative self-expression in the moment. I drew that little tiny thing and then I brought it out, enlarged it, and refined it. And I use it as part of my logo in my business. So there's great power in having creative expression, and that will show up in a particular way in our lives depending on how that gate is activated in our designs. So Mara says she has the gate one is colored in her design on a defined self center. So you can see with the self center, it is right here on the diamond in the middle. And when we look at the mandala, you can see that all of the energies in the mandala go right to the center or the self center. The energy is received as well as sent out. And I've heard people call it the rave mandala. Shaitan feels like um, the voice that was delivering this information to Ra meant ray of love instead of rave. And I'm kind of wondering if that might be, in fact, what's happening here. But because you can see all these rays of light and the expression of all of the energies in the mandala converge within the self center. So it is fascinating to look at some of these things and see how they work and possibilities and potentials. The self center is also all about um, personal sacred boundaries, like guarding your boundaries, taking care of yourself from inside yourself. So that's another theme that's there inside of the gate one. Okay, so Raquel, your gate one is colored in as well. So both of you will have a consistent way that you like to express your creativity out in the world. In your home, that could look like maybe you like all the pictures in your home have ocean or water images in them because you love the beach, or all of them have forest, like a forest theme to them or a magical theme, or you like coloring in coloring books, or like I was expressing, I've made a series of little mandalas that I like to share, and I have coloring things like I have my coloring books. I've shared that I love Johanna Basford's um, little books that she puts out, and I've shared some coloring that I like. Like I colored her inset book page here, and her pictures just delight my heart. So I love using her coloring book to color in as part of my expression in my life. So if you feel open to sharing how that might show up for you, how you've noticed that that shows up in a consistent way for you in your life. Um, Raquel says on a defined center. So you will have a consistent way of knowing yourself and expressing that creative self expression out in the world and doing that in a consistent way. That could be the way that you dress yourself, the way you do your hair, the way you decorate your home, or whatever it is. Maybe you paint or play the piano. These are particular to you as an individual, and people who know you know that you love engaging in creativity that way in your life. So I'm going to turn in Shaitan's book of lines. And again, Raquel, we're using Shaitan's book of lines for the human design system that we're going to refer to. And turning to the inset here, he's got the channel. So it's the 1-8 channel. And Maris, as I recall, you have the 1-8 channel in your design, and this is the channel of the role model. It is in the individual knowing circuit, and this is an individual who has the ability or the potential to lead or guide, particularly artists that are trying to get their work out in the world, and understanding how to do that and helping them do that. In our step astrology, we have at line 1, we start out with step 13 and move on through step 18 at, I'm going to point at it so it doesn't feel so abstract. So the line 1 starts out at step 13 in our step astrology, and ending at step 18, taking action on our creativity in the gate one. Oh, Raquel, you have the entire channel as well. Okay, cool. So both of you, do you find that you end up helping people in that way, like encouraging maybe even your children to use their creativity and develop their creativity? Mary says, I love to sing, and my hair is the same for my whole life, I think. That's funny. That's funny, Maris. So you don't change your hair on a regular basis. Well, I don't know. Maybe this could be an invitation to maybe play with that and do something differently. It might freshen up. So the gate one, let's look at this. Let's look at this. So Richard's guidance with the gene keys is that um, to activate the gift of freshness and freshen up your creative expression. And if you notice any entropy going on, that could show up as feeling depressed or frenetic, like you're rushing around trying to get a bunch of things done and nothing seems to be working, and it just goes into decline because of that. Um, so his suggestion is to freshen things up, and I believe that includes uh, hair and the way that we're doing with our hair. Um, so for example, sometimes I put braids in my hair, or sometimes I put it up in a ponytail. It's getting long enough that's too heavy for me. So but getting creative, different ways of doing things. Let's see. Mary says, no, it's always the same. I sit at the depressed side, I think. Well, we will have a tendency to either go to the repressed frequencies in the gene keys, as Richard gives it to us, or to the reactive. So that's going to be seen by everybody outside. But the repressed is like we're shoving it inside and not letting anybody see it. And I'm going to have to say for me, the repressive is my tendency to go towards the repressive play out. Um, yeah, so knowing these things about ourselves, then it gives us a heads up so we can work with it. So anyway, we can freshen things up in our environment for the creative self-expression. And the way we would know to do that from the repressed aspect is if we notice we feel depressed and to start getting more creative and sharing our creativity out in the world will help get the energy moving forward again. Okay. Yeah, with our gate one is just noticing, okay, I'm not feeling so great right now. How can I activate my gift of creativity and freshen up my environment? It literally could be just opening the window as well. So, all of the lines in the gate one are yang lines. They're doingness. So, doing something creative. Raquel says, finally accepted my curly hair. I think your hair looks amazing, Raquel. It's just very beautiful. And there's so many hair products that we can use that can define those. I'm gonna have to say, darling curls. You have very beautiful curly hair, and refining those curls so they stand out even more, and different ways of using the beauty of those curls to really frame your face and make yourself look beautiful. So yeah, appreciating ourselves and the expression, the way our body is expressing. The human design system is all about our body, taking care of our body, noticing our body, and actually addressing it as a beautiful dear friend. And what can you do to take care of this divine vessel that houses your soul and the cosmic realm? It's your personal cosmic divine realm of your soul is the beautiful vehicle that your soul gets to travel about in the world. And yes, there are little things about our bodies that we might get feel frustrated about or that we don't prefer. Um, One thing that I don't know why we're getting on the subject. It must be important. It's okay. I like it's a very good distraction from our conversation here. But embodying your design is all about loving your physical form, who you are at the soul level, but also your body vehicle. It is doing such a tremendous work to keep you healthy and well and move you about safely in the world and to address it as your favorite, most beautiful friend ever in the whole wide world and showing appreciation. Say if you have an upset stomach, for example, just putting your hand over your stomach and saying, "Thank you, I love you. Thank you for letting me know that there's something that's not functioning properly. That I need to stop and maybe get some sparkling water or, get some fennel essential oil or eat a different item than what I just ate so I can do differently next time. Thank you for showing me that so I can improve myself and paying attention because our body is sending us messages all the time. And our body is not who we are. I don't even like saying it that way. I don't like saying only. It is the divine expression of our design in our life. The design of our body graph shows how our body is made up in our life, particularly the unconscious side of our body graph. The DNA expression is shown in our body graph, and that is this beautiful fleshy vessel that houses our soul. And so when we show that appreciation for our body temple, the gate 46 is our body temple. It is our divine expression of our design. That is my unconscious earth gate activation. And I'm having little emotions coming up. I have learned so much. Excuse me. I have learned so much about really loving my physical form because my body has not functioned comfortably all my life. Like I was ill by the time I was 7. I actually was having challenges by the time I was 4. I think it was the environment I was raised in, but um, our body starts showing us when we're out of balance. And it's just letting us know these little challenges that exhibit. It's giving us little messages saying, hey, I have an owie going on. Can you stop and take care of this, please? And when we keep ignoring those little messages, then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not going to go away. So when we stop and we take care of those things, as an adult, we can finally, have our own choices and start noticing some of these things. And I'm going to have to say, I have been able just by doing what I described, and back to gate 1, being creative and innovative on some level with helping my body function better by listening to and loving my body. The way that I dug myself out of, I'm going to say, massive burnout and living life from the couch in pain doesn't work at all, by the way. Um, the way that I started digging myself out of that was just saying, thank you, I love you to every pain. At first, it was thank you, because someone had talked to me about that. And also through spirit guidance, I was being directed to doing gratitude. in all things, whether comfortable or uncomfortable. And so every time I noticed like my hip was hurting or my ribs or, I had a headache or I was feeling extra tired or I was having trouble, whatever. I hurt everywhere, by the way. When my children were small, I was very uncomfortable. Um, and I just started saying great gratitudes for everything that happened. That was where that creativity started in my life and helping me to um, use creativity in increasing my health. And now today, I'm going to have to say I have about 5% discomfort and 95% feeling good in my body. Whereas before, that was pretty much flip flopped. I was very uncomfortable the other direction. So, yeah, these things can be changed around. We can use creativity, like I'm describing, in many different ways. And getting creative about how we take care of ourselves is one of those ways. So, thank you, dear ladies. I appreciate that. Yeah, this physical fleshy vehicle journey we're all on is pretty important. That's what we're all here for, is learning and growing and progressing and sharing these things with each other. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Raquel. All right. Okay. So let's look in Barry's book really quick. We're still having good timing here. And the gate one is all it's the trigram is upper is heaven and the lower is heaven. So it's heaven above and heaven below. And the name of the gate one in the I Ching is Chien. So it's spelled CH and then there's an apostrophe and then IEN. So Chien. And Barry's smaller description for this gate is the heavenly primal force of creative power and firmness, making strong. Tian is depicted as a man learning from the behavior of heavenly dragons. So all the lines in this hexagram are male archetypal, they're yang lines, straight, unbroken lines. So this is why there's a man in the image. It doesn't necessarily mean, a man gender particularly. It's an outgoing doing energy is what is being depicted in the lines. Eastern dragons, unlike destructive Western dragons, are full of energy with the attributes of powerful and perfect conduct, justice, and wisdom. So acting from the higher sage within ourselves. These dragons are born in the formation of clouds, and Chien is associated with great origins. Chien is a time associated with creative power and supreme wisdom, characterized with great success and good fortune. And I like to say great good fortune because it feels yummy. All is expected to succeed as you wisely strengthen your character and express concern in the proper time. So part of this is about using wisdom and strengthening one's character and and constantly looking upwards from inside oneself in one's expressions and endeavoring to come from the higher expression of oneself. Okay. All right, beautiful. Do either of you have any questions about the gate one that maybe I didn't answer? You'll have a consistent way of expressing your creative expression is um, because you both have colored in on your designs. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen again and see which gate. We have the 43. The gate 43 is the gate of insight and breakthrough. And it has to do with distilling information. It's in the knowing circuit. So it has to do with distilling information and starting to bring structure to that information from the divine realms. Like it's that deep inner knowingness and bringing those ahas and understandings within oneself. And then waiting for correct timing to share those insights, hopefully from a structured point of view. Um, Journaling can be helpful, meditation can be helpful. You don't want to share these insights before you have structure brought to them because it can kind of sound like like well the 2343 channel is called can be referred to as genius to freak. Meaning if you don't wait for correct timing, people might like go, oh my gosh, this is a weird person. Where did they come up with that? Whereas if you wait to share for these for correct timing, then there's a greater potential for those who are listening to receive that information. And waiting until it's called for, like it is a projected channel, meaning it's by invitation, meaning maybe somebody could ask you what you've been meditating on, or if you know anything about a certain subject, and then you can share if they're asking for it. So it's in the knowing, individual knowing circuit. As you can see, it's right down the center. So it's deep inner knowingness and insight. All right. Okay, Mara says that she doesn't have gate 43. Her husband has it, and you have it on. So your mind center, let's see, undefined center. Is your mind center undefined or your husband's, Maris? Raquel says, I don't have gate 43. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. So both you and your husband have undefined minds, and you don't have gate 43 activated, but your husband does. Okay. And okay. And Raquel has a defined mind. Okay, so neither of you have the 43 colored in, so you'll have a flexible way of allowing those deep inner insights from from the divine, God source, cosmic mind, however you like interject your own term there. You'll have a flexible way of flowing with that information that you receive. I would say the intuitive hit I'm getting right now is journal, like have a journal of information that you have through your meditations so you can refer back to them later. And Raquel, you'll have a consistent way of filing or categorizing or processing those insights when you do have them come through. Then you'll have a particular way of thinking about those insights that you receive. And Maris, you will have an open and flexible way of processing any inner insights that you receive. And also being aware, this also, any place that's white in your design, that can be affected by the energy of your environment and particularly the people that you're hanging out with. So do be aware of that. If the mind center is colored in white, that you could be picking up on the way other people process their thoughts and thinking that those thoughts are yours. So always check with your strategy and authority. Check and see if it's your thoughts or not. And if it's not, then just let them run through, just kind of like a breeze that's coming through the window. You're going to let that breeze run through the room. You're not going to hold on to it, and just let it go past. Or like if you were sitting in the park and watching the traffic driving by on the road, that's other people's thoughts. You can watch their thoughts drive by. You don't need to go jump in their car and go for a ride with them. That might be a little exciting. You don't know who that person is. You don't want to go for a ride with them in their thoughts, right? So that was kind of an interesting little image. You can just, it makes it easier just to let those thoughts go. When you think of cars driving by, it's not your car. You don't want to go get into that car. You don't want to drive around with those thoughts, that car thoughts, because they're not yours. You want to drive in your own car, your own thoughts. It's not that you won't have your own thoughts. So how will you know which thoughts are yours? This is a good question. In any of the centers, whatever the theme of that center is, the way that you'll know it's yours for your lifetime is it will consistently show up for you. So for example, I have my crown center is undefined. So this is what inspires me in my life. And I consistently have chakras and rainbows, coloring, mandalas, um, flowers, crystals. These are things that inspire me at the handwriting. Um, like I love handwriting. And I know I've mentioned the Vimala alphabet. Like this is a sample of her font. Um, so handwriting has been consistent for me since the moment my mom showed me how to draw my name on the chalkboard when I was 4, getting ready to go to school. So look for the consistencies in your thoughts in the mind center or the crown center. Then it would be consistency of what inspires you in your life. Your throat center, if it's colored in white, look for the consistent things that you find yourself expressing or sharing about. In the self center, what are you consistently um, finding that uh, where you belong? Consistent behaviors for yourself, what you love. Like look for the consistencies, even though you might have these centers colored in white, you'll know because there will be something that will show up consistently with the theme of that center, and then you'll know it's yours. Plus, listening to your strategy and authority to know what these aspects are in your life as well. Okay, so Myra says, haha, yes, I was just asking myself that question at the same time. Yeah, looking for consistent thoughts. If you find yourself saying, I suddenly had the thought to go down the street and buy an ice cream, when that's not usual for you, maybe it is, but if you make the comment, I suddenly feel like I need to read this certain book, whatever it is, Robinson Crusoe come to my mind. I suddenly feel like I need to go buy Robinson Crusoe and read it. When that's not even one of your interests, surviving on an island and having that experience, adventure, whatever, it's not your normal energy. Somebody may have walked into your energy field that was having the sensation of that energy, and you picked up on it and you suddenly felt that way. And as soon as that individual leaves, that thought went away. I have that happen so much. So maybe just notice what happens with those white centers in your design. And if you find yourself saying something like, I suddenly feel blah, 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 whatever it is, okay, it's possible it's not your stuff, okay? It's not yours to play with. Yes, it's very fascinating. Okay. And for this example we're talking about here, the gate 43, I suddenly feel, I'm suddenly have a sudden impression or insight about blah, blah, blah. Someone may have brought that energy into your space, and it may not even be for you to carry long term. Might be just for in the moment. Okay. But journal stuff that comes to you with the gate 43, those insights and breakthroughs, because it may be helpful later. Might not even be for you. If it's color, you have your 43 colored in white, that information might not be for you. It might be for someone else that you meet tomorrow or next week or whatever. So there we go. All right. So our gate 43, I'm going to look this up in Shaitan's Book of Lines. And okay, so his inset here, he's got the 2343 channel showing here. It's the channel of structuring in the individual knowing circuit. So it's all about, it's experiential because it's individual and it's in the moment, and it has to do with oneself. And then the step astrology here, it starts at step 18 and goes through step 24 at the 6th line. So moving from concerns about what's going on or bringing insights regarding what's going on in your environment, and then moving towards having awareness regarding the future, insights regarding the future, because it's in the 3rd decan, and how you feel about the future after receiving these insights and breakthroughs that you are receiving through the gate 43. So there's all these little synergizing elements that come together when you start looking at your body graph. Is it colored in or not? Is it conscious or unconscious? If it's unconscious, you might not be so aware of it. If it's conscious, then you'll have more awareness of it. Is the center that it's connected to colored in or not is going to be affecting the behavior of that gate and how it shows up, and whether or not you can be easily influenced by the energy of the people that are in your environment. Okay. So the gate 43 in Barry Trosper's book, it is Joyous Lake above and Heaven below on the trigrams. The I Ching names this hexagram Kauai. I believe that's how it's said. It's Kuai. I'm going to say it's Kauai. And the description here says resolute decision to expose and remove corruption. So sorting through information, making sure to bring the higher frequency, and cutting away or splitting away, which is the gate 23, lower characteristics in one's behavior or personal character. Kauai is depicted as the corrupt being driven away. The waterfall symbolizes both division and danger. Kauai is a time of resolute decision and action in exposing and removing corruption, characterized by advantage in endeavors following the elimination of corruption. So just removing oneself from any lower ego behaviors or energies in your space. The corruption is close at hand, and truthful exposure represents danger. Yet the matters must be resolved carefully without excessive zeal or aggressiveness. The elimination of the remaining evil restores order. So no aggression. This isn't take out your sword time and defend yourself and get rid of the thing. It's to carefully and mindfully, with awareness, take care of the corruption or decay. Okay, so I'm going to keep a hold of my book properly. You can see this gentleman, he is standing and he's being watchful. And there's lots of water, which in the I Ching represents danger and potential of danger. And he's separating himself from that danger. Like he's standing in a firm place where he's safe on a boulder, and he can watch what's going on, and he's removing himself or distancing himself from the danger or the corruption. In this case, it is a destructive character. So I love the point of view here. The gate 23 is about um, splitting apart or removing the corruption or the lower character behavior and bringing structure to what you want to have happening in the gate 23. Um, the 2343 channel structures insights, brings those insights through, gets rid of what doesn't serve, and then distills or delivers the structure of the information that came through. Okay. Yeah. All right. Do either of you have questions regarding the gate 43 at all? I mean, for both of you, it's going to just be flexible and open, flowing information for you. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we will move to our last hexagram for today is the gate 14. And the gate 14 is the gate of harvest. It's all about being able to make money doing what you love. Somewhat represents the energy of the Midas touch. This would be an individual that has the ability to take care of estates, to govern estates and large amounts of resources and money, particularly ground and real estate. But there's other elements that play in here. Um, Anything that has your creative self-expression, like doing what you love and allowing yourself to make money doing that, whatever that is. So it's right here. You can see it's still, this gate is also in the individual knowing circuit, gate of prosperity and harvesting. It's connected to the gate 2, the gate of receptivity. So being open to receive those resources, benefiting yourself, number one, and by bringing benefit to yourself, you're bringing benefit and being open and receptive to receiving that prosperity in your community as well. Because if you're receiving prosperity, those that you associate with and around you will also receive that prosperity as well. Okay, it's on the sacral center as well. So this has to do with life force energy. And it's one of the tantric gates. Tantra meaning transmuting energy from one form of energy to another. It can be sexually related, but doesn't need to be. Okay, so Mara says no 14 at all in our house. Okay, so no one in your home has a gate 14 activation. And so you'll have an open and flexible and varying way of this energy, like bringing prosperity into your home or into your own life. And you can do that in many varying ways and still from the space of doing what you love, but doing it in flexible ways, bringing prosperity into your home in flexible ways. Having your sacral center colored in and defined, that will be fixed. You'll have a fixed way of connecting with life force energy. And before moving to make money or bring money into your household, in just checking with your strategy and authority, your gut response, making sure that you're heading in the path that you want in order to do that. And, I think there's more and more people in the world catching on to the idea that, oh, you mean I can do something that I really enjoy to bring money in? getting things started sometimes in that direction isn't so easy. So you want to ease into it in some cases. But I think there's getting to be more and more people being open to the realization that they can enjoy the work that they're doing so that they experience joy while they're bringing resources into their home to support their home. Raquel, is your gate 14 colored in, or is it colored in white? Just drop something on the floor here, just a sec. I don't want to misplace that. Okay. So in Barry Trosper's book, in his primer, gate 14 is fire above and heaven below. So fire in the trigrams is sun, or it's bright light from above, and brings clarity. So it's brilliance, clarity, and the sun is a good representation of fire, the energy of fire in the heaven above. Okay, so the name of this gate in the I Ching is Ta Yu, and it's spelled T-A and the second word Y-U. So Ta Yu. The description says possession of virtue and strength produces progress and success. Ta Yu is depicted as the community striving for and accomplishing the common benefit. The Chinese character translates as great havings. Havings, great havings. So, in possession of great measure, like resources. Ta Yu is a time of abundant possession of virtue and strength, of character in particular, characterized by great success and great good fortune. So I like that he emphasizes the character piece here because it is in the individual circuitry. So it is all about individual virtue and great strength from inside one's core energy field. The social union is in complete accord and all common good is achieved. Gentle and unselfish leadership guides responsive and capable helpers to progress and success. I was going to say progress. I was putting emphasis incorrectly. So I'm going to read that sentence again. The social union is in complete accord. So everyone's together on the same track, the same mindset, same forward movement, and all common good is achieved. Gentle and unselfish leadership guides responsive and capable helpers to progress and success. I almost did it again. To progress and success. So much like a flower. So when we look at, I'm gonna pull up our graphic again. So if you can imagine, right down here, the root center is like the root ball of a plant. So all the sprouts come out, and then it starts growing a stem up. So you can see the 14 is part of that progress of growing. And here, at the self center, the bloom opens and the essence comes out and, radiates out into the world from that bloom, whatever the bloom is. So we want to make sure we're growing beautiful flowers that smell lovely in our lives, right? In our character. Oh, we don't want any stinky flowers. I know there's stinky flowers out in the world that Mother Nature has created. And we want lovely smelling roses or other such flowers growing in our growing boxes. So this is how we do it. We come from our higher character that benefits all. Okay. Okay. All right. How are you ladies doing? Is there anything else? You have any other questions about gate 14 or anything in the sign of Scorpio? I'm not as studied on the astrology piece. I've been learning from Mr. Witecki, which I feel like is good to add to the human design system. So again, guarding one's boundaries, that was probably a good closing statement for growing our garden in boxes and being mindfully aware of what's happening with our garden box. because the sign of Scorpio has to do with those sacred boundaries and maintaining those. Mary says, I'm good. Learned a lot today. Thank you. You're so, so welcome. Um, okay. Appreciate you being here. And also, I'm getting nudges from spirit guidance that after we finish taking a look at the gates in Sagittarius next week, that I'm going to pause on the Human Design and Gene Keys study group Friday morning. Stephanie might be putting someone else in the Friday morning study group after that. I just don't know, but next week will be the last one. I don't know if it will be indefinite or if it's just a short pause. I'm going to listen to spirit guidance to determine what needs to happen, but I've not gotten any information coming through as a heading to take our study group after this. So I'm going to do a pause and follow my design as a manifester and do that. Oracle readings will still continue Wednesday evenings. And I love getting on there and playing, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience of doing our study group on Friday mornings as well. But following my intuitive hits here and pausing for study group. So Friday mornings. And then this evening, Namaste today with um, Christopher this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you're interested in that. And then Linda has been doing little classes on Thursday afternoon. Um, I don't know if I said that correctly, but I think you probably get the message. 1 p.m. Eastern, she's doing quantum wellness presentations. So, yeah, we are thrilled to have you here in our group and join in. If you have any presentations of anything you would like to share in the group, like if you do crystals or, chakra stuff or whatever it is, and you'd like to join in as a presenter or share anything in the group, just get in touch with Stephanie and she will visit with you about that possibility. So, okay, Mara says, I think about that today. What would you do after you've done the gates? Yeah, yeah, that's where I've arrived at it. Like it feels like a little stopping point. So I'm going to stop. Take some time and see if there will come something to you. Yeah. Yeah. And there just hasn't been. So I'm taking that as a very strong invitation to pause. As we know from studying the human design stuff, the manifester doesn't have sustainable workforce energy to keep doing like a regular presentation like this. And I have thoroughly enjoyed doing this. It's been very good for me, and I'm hoping it has been good for you. I'm hearing that it has been. So, yep, it's a perfect time to rest. Yeah. All righty, my dears. You have a lovely evening and a wonderful weekend. If you're, making note of the eclipse, that energy is on Monday. I myself, I haven't had a great draw to it myself, and I've heard other people say that as well. So, processing that energy in the best way that comes to you for who you are, and just go with love and light for your weekend and your evening. So, we'll see you later. Alrighty.